Welcome to Talk Chat Podcast. The segment is the political oracle. And today we have a guest who is not a normal guest. We have an exclusive interview with the former President Mois' right-hand man. This man is fearless. He expresses himself the way he thinks is right. He does not mince his words when it comes to describing what it was, how it was during his tenure with the first and the second president of this country. The man is none other than Njiru. We all know him, but there are things he is saying in this particular exclusive interview that you have never heard.
Most people do not know that I am a humble person. Mm-hmm. I am not filthy rich.
You stated that at one particular time you were taken for training.
Yes.
And you were trained on government propaganda.
Yes.
What was that?
The politicians, they must take this into consideration. The microphone is not a tool to play with. People deserve the leadership they get. Because our leaders, they do not fall from the sky.
Njiru, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I think it's good having you today. And we are privileged to have you in this particular show. And we hope to get some information from you which we think is going to maybe shape the conversation of politics in this country. Yeah. Say something about yourself.
As you said, my name is Njiru.
Yeah.
I was born in Embu. Mm-hmm. Went to school in Embu, Nairobi. Mm-hmm. And I did a lot of journalism, having worked for Kenyan News Agency. And then later, I became a press officer to the late Mois Jomo Kenyatta, the first president of the Republic of Kenya. It's 1.5 years. That is from February 1977 to August 1978, 1.5 years. Then, when President Mois took office in 1978, that is August, I worked for him as president for 24 years, 4 months, 80 days. And after that, when he retired, when he was barred by the Constitution from seeking re-election in 2002, I went home with him.
Okay.
Although I continued being paid by the government, stayed home with him for 18 years. 18 years. So total 42 years. Wow. Serving Mois and Jomo Kenyatta 1.5 years. That makes it a total of 43.5 years serving the presidency.
Wow. I don't think there is any other person who has ever served the presidency that long.
No, because Jomo Kenyatta was in power for 15 years. Mois 24 years. Kibaki 10 years, Uhuru 10 years, and Ruto is still in office. He has barely completed 3 years. And actually, so far, nobody has that record.
Actually, he's
so far.
And we are not expecting it because already the Constitution has capped the president to serve 2 terms.
Yes.
That means the maximum unless someone serves across 3-4 presidents to beat your record.
Yes.
That is impressive. That's impressive. And I think now let's go to the issues in this particular discussion. Beyond public recognition, because Kenyans really know Njiru. Actually, when we hear the name Lee, we usually, what comes to our mind is Njiru.
Yes.
And is there something that Kenyans have not known about you up to today?
Yes. Unfortunately, anybody who serves in the State House or anybody who is a personal aide of whatever nature to a head of state is deemed to be proud, to be a proud person, a person who is terribly aristocratic, arrogant, feels rich, unreachable, that kind of stuff. Now, people do not know, most people do not know that I am a humble person. I am not filthy rich, although I do not starve. I'm reachable. I don't go around with the bodyguards pushing around people.
Yeah.
That is what people do not, many people do not know about me. But fortunately, when I retired, people approached me cautiously. But in the fullness of time, they have realized that I'm a humble person. I'm reachable. I am affable. I am not a proud person. Because that has been a misconception for a long time. But then this one is attributed to everybody who serves in a powerful office.
For me, I think I can confess that because I've known you now for around 3 years, 4 years.
Yes.
And I found it easy to interact with you. Yes. Actually, even when I came, I remember when I came the first time we met, I was so much surprised by your humility. So I know that is not self-praise. I think it's something many people can confess to. Now, let's go to Mois' communication strategy because you were in charge of communication. His communication is usually praised as having been very effective. Actually, we usually try to, those people who knew Moi and who lived through the Moi regime, they usually say Moi's communication was different, effective, compared maybe to the presidents who followed. What do you think made that possible?
First of all, it is good to appreciate the fact that there was no social media.
That time.
If you allow me, I'll go back to the administration of Mr. Jomo Kenyatta. By that time, there were only 2 newspapers. That is the Nation and the Standard, with their Swahili sisters, Baraza and Taifa Leo. And those newspapers, and there was only one radio station, which was Voice of Kenya.
VOK.
The Nation and the Standard had no bureaus across the country. They had no offices. So they relied for any information from the districts, from the rural areas. They depended on the copies from the Kenyan News Agency. Because the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting at that time had offices in all districts, besides provincial information offices. Any story coming from the rural areas was sent, all the stories were sent to Mufangano House, not to Mufangano Street. That is Information House, the headquarters of the Kenyan News Agency. And those stories now, they would be edited to remove anything that might demean the president or that might make the president appear ignorant. They were edited because there were editors. And then there was a chief information officer, the chief news editor. And then from there, after having been edited by government agencies, they were then transmitted to the newspapers and international outlets.
Yes.
Yes, people from Reuters, they would come there to collect their copies. Even foreign correspondents, they used to come and collect copies from Mufangano Street. You see, now Moi inherited that system. So communication was easy. So what was put out to the public was edited and polished.
And filtered.
Filtered completely. And it was very strict. So the president, even if they made a few mistakes in their communication, it was edited out.
Yeah.
So only the good messages were allowed to filter through.
Yeah.
Now, this time, stories are real time. Real time.
Real time, yeah.
And you see, those days, not everybody, people were taught that a microphone is a very, very dangerous tool. When you see a crowd, many people become excited.
Yeah.
And they talk, they spew out things which are untoward. What I would like to tell people now is to remind them the microphone is not a tool to play with. It's very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. And that is one of the lessons we are taught in journalism school, that never play with a microphone. This time, the problem with the administration currently is that everybody is a journalist. And then the politicians have not realized that whatever they say is being recorded. And it is being sent across the world, real time.
Actually, by people who are not necessarily behind the cameras.
Yes. And then there's nobody to end it. Now, the politicians, they must take this into consideration when they speak. So they must arrange their messages before they speak. And they should not be excited when they see crowds or when they are cheered. It is very dangerous because they will tarnish their names. They'll be portrayed in bad light. And it is not the problem of the people who are filming. It is the problem of the politicians.
The people who give the information.
Yes. Now, as Chinua Achebe said in his famous book, Things Fall Apart, that since man, there is a bird called Eneke the bird. Eneke. What did Eneke the bird say? Since man has learned to shoot without missing, I have learned to fly without patching. Now, because now, the method of information technology, the method of transmission has changed. Now you should change the way you talk, what you say, and where you say it. Because now once you say it and it goes out there, it cannot be retrieved. And you cannot deny. Because you have been recorded by about 100 mobile phones.
Are you saying politicians have not changed?
They have not changed.
During that time, they used to say...
They have not learned to fly without patching. Okay. They are always patching. And that is why they are always being shot by the press.
So politicians used to say these things. It's only that there were no means to transmit the information.
Yes.
But now there are means.
Now, the only people who are allowed to talk in public meetings were government officials. And because Kenyan News Agency was the only media outlet, we could end it. But now, everybody is speaking. Everybody is speaking.
Okay.
Yes.
In your book, this President's Pressman, you stated that at one particular time, you were taken for training.
Yes.
And you were trained on government propaganda.
Yes.
What was that? Is that the name propaganda itself, we usually take it at this time as a negative thing?
Yes.
So what was the training about?
No,
is it necessary for government communication people to be trained on that?
You see, government propaganda. And propaganda, it was twisted. It's not a bad word.
Yeah.
It's information. A newspaper, a commercial newspaper, is there to sell. So mostly they rely on yellow journalism. Sensationalism,
yeah.
Sensationalism. For example, if a government officer, let's say a minister, a cabinet secretary, goes to Nairobi National Park with the 3 women at 8 a.m. and leaves the national park at 6 p.m.
The following day?
No, the same day.
The same day.
A commercial newspaper will say Minister Francisco spent the whole Sunday afternoon with the 3 women in Nairobi National Park. That is correct.
Yeah.
Because there were 3 women.
Yeah.
But a government agency will say the women were his wife, mother-in-law, and daughter.
Okay.
But you see, even if you say 3 women, it is not actionable in the law.
Yeah.
It is true. But you see how it has been portrayed. You understand?
I get.
So you must go further and explain who the women are. But even if you say 3 women, you cannot be taken to court because that is true.
It is true.
But what do people think? What do people think? It will be negative.
Yeah. It will be negative, yeah.
If the government increases the salaries of the armed forces, as a government information officer, I will say the president has increased the salaries of the armed forces because of their professionalism and dedication to the protection of the national borders. But then a commercial newspaper will say he has bribed the soldiers.
The state. He's buying the state.
Yes. To buy loyalty.
Okay.
Again, another one. If the government builds the headquarters for the National Social Security Fund, we'll say they have built it. But then a commercial newspaper will say the government has built a 40-story headquarters for the NSSF, National Social Security Fund. And then underwriter there. And yet, it says it has got no money to pay workers.
I see.
You see? Yeah, that is the difference.
You are doing some kind of comparison between the national media, what we call the public media, and the corporate media or private media. So are we saying the government should not expect to be portrayed positively by corporate media, and that it may be in some way they need to strengthen the state media or the public broadcaster?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They should strengthen the public broadcaster.
I see. Okay, thank you. And I think that's a very big message, because particular time like this when our public broadcaster is, to some extent, there was that time when it was going down. I know now it is going up, but anyway, it's a good thing. Let's go to leadership then and now, because one of the things we know is that Mois administration and the other administration that came after him, the Kibaki, the Uhuru Kenyatta, and Ruto's administration. How can we compare the leadership of Moi and the leadership of, for example, let's say the current president, President William Ruto?
First of all, in order to put it in proper perspective, I'll go back to Mr. Jomo Kenyatta.
Yeah.
Jomo Kenyatta's administration was easy as compared to others. Jomo Kenyatta, when he came to power, the population was smaller. it was below 10 million.
That's the whole Kenyan population.
Yes. Also, if it was, well, below 15 million.
Below 15
Let's say below 15 million.
Yeah.
People were not highly educated. Graduates were fewer. So it was easy to get employment.
Yeah.
Number two, Kenyatta had the advantage of mystery.
Yeah.
Because nobody knew when he was born. Nobody knew where he went to school. Or what people knew, and there was a myth surrounding Jomo Kenyatta. One is that he could read your mind. So people feared him.
Yeah.
And this emanated from his book, Facing Mount Kenya.
Yeah.
Because he had, by his own confession, that he had even used magic to marry his own wife. And of course, people knew that he had been in the London School of Economics, where he did anthropology.
We still know that.
Now people knew that. And I guess they knew it could read people's minds. And he had fought for independence. So it was a mystery because people didn't know him. Now, Mois if this man can take over from Jomo Kenyatta, it means he also has a degree of mystery.
Yes.
Because taking over from Kenyatta, it was also a feat. It was something.
It wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy. So Mois carried some mystery with him. Although that mystery diminished towards the end of his administration. But you see, now when Kibaki came, there was a lot of politicking. Now, it did not have it easy.
Yeah.
When Uhuru came, now you can see how popularity was diminishing.
And honor.
Now, when Uhuru came, he had classmates who are still alive in St. Mary's and elsewhere. Now, Ruto has friends who are still alive, classmates.
They know him.
They know him. They know him very well. So it is very, very, very difficult. So now, that is why there are a lot of problems. Ruto, because he has no mystery. Yes.
There is a book called 48 Laws of Power.
Yes, by Robert Greene.
Robert Greene.
Yes.
That talks about a king or a leader is supposed to have some kind of
mystery. Yes.
Can that explain the reason as to why we no longer respect the presidency?
Yes. Yeah, because he has no mystery.
And can we say when Kibaki came to power, they were so much emotional that they destroyed the veil that used to protect the president?
Yes.
Because I remember during that time we used even to recite the loyalty pledge. Maybe they thought they were punishing President Mois. Yes. They thought by doing away with the loyalty pledge, doing away with patriotic songs,
yes,
which used actually to create some aura around the presidency,
yes,
so that he had his own respect. Do you think Kibaki at the core, when they came, do you think they acted wisely to emasculate the presidency? Let me use that term.
There is a saying that if you teach your dogs to eat the chicken of your neighbor, they will develop a taste for chicken. So when they deplete the chicken of your neighbor, don't keep chicken.
They will eat yours.
Yes, because they have developed a taste.
And yours is also chicken.
During the Kibaki time, people are allowed to insult President Mois. Okay? They were told it is okay.
And get away with it.
And what were they calling it? They were saying there's nothing special in being a president. So they destroyed that myth, that aura. And now they are reaping what they planted.
Yeah,
what they are reaping.
Because even the most advanced democracies like the United States, the president is highly respected.
So highly respected.
I get it. And it's something that they need to consider. It cannot be reversed. I don't know how they can reverse it, because they even went to the Constitution 2010 and disempowered the president.
Yes.
It is now that we are trying to empower the president again.
Yes.
But now the presidents now try to empower himself by owning even some projects which were devolved in the 47 other governments. And
Yes.
it is causing a lot of confusion. So anyway, now let's go to now connection with citizens, because communication now also goes to connection. Moi was known for his deep connection with the people, something which was not there with Kibaki. Kibaki never used to connect with the people, and with time, I think when Kibaki came to power, they started seeing a different president. Now, what strategies did Moi use to connect with the common mwananchi down there? Because when he died, if you remember when he died, all Kenyans celebrated him in a way that they could not have thought it in 2002 when they were insulting him. So what was special about his connection with the common mwananchi?
First of all, there were fundraisers called Harambee.
Which were banned during Kibaki time?
Yes. They were banned because they thought Moi was becoming popular. Anything that made Moi popular was banned. It was declared illegal. Moi would drive all the way to Lodwar to go and do a Harambee there for a project. And he made sure that he carried with him cabinet ministers, even permanent secretaries.
Yeah.
And there were entertainment sessions, school choirs, traditional dancers. By so doing, he took the presidency to the people and he introduced his ministers to the people. And he also created an opportunity for his government officials to know the people.
Okay.
There was that connection. And you see, again, these ministers would also do harambees in different parts of the country. Independently. Do you know now in this government, or in the previous government, there's a minister who stays in office for 10 years. He's a minister from, let's say, Kilifi. He will never know where Amagoro is.
Yeah.
He will never know where Lokitanga is. He will never know where Taranganya is. Even if you tell him the name Taranganya,
they don't know what is that.
They don't even know what it means. And it is not proper, it's not right that a cabinet minister will serve his term if he is from Ukambani and he does not know what a Pokot is.
Yeah.
He does not know Kuria. Even if you tell him that there's a tribe called Marokote,
they will not know.
They will not know. You see, now, even up to now, there are ministers in this government who will leave office without knowing whether Baratabwa is in Kenya or Ethiopia. Baratabwa. They have never heard of a place called Kianjokoma. But in Moi's time, he would go everywhere. And again, he used to go, most of the time, he used to drive.
Go by road.
Because you see now, if the president is flying from Nairobi
to Lodwar,
then how will he know? How will the people in between see their president? Because the presidency belongs to the people. They must see it. They must feel it. You understand?
Yes.
More in New Kenya. For example, just an example.
Yeah.
He would look at the smallest tribe, let's say Marokote, along the Tana River, and pick one of their sons, say Mohammed or Marasaba, and make him an ambassador in Iran. He would go to try to look for a young lady there. Esther Moshai Tole and make you a high commissioner in one of the countries in Southern Africa. So we used to connect with the people.
And devolve power to them.
And again, we used to have elders. In Turkana, you would have an elder, like Peter Panabas Njore, who was an assistant minister. Besides being an assistant minister in his government, they have got a personal bond, so that you will know exactly what is happening in the Turkana area.
In the local, down there.
You see? Even you would have chiefs, like in Meru, you would make friends with the chief Namani Mwirichia. He's a personal friend. In Ukambani, you would have an elder Molo Motisia. Okay? In South Nyanza, you would have a personal relationship with an elder called Elisha Chieng. So he used to know exactly what was happening everywhere. And then he'd look for, let's say, for the owner of a supermarket in Londra. You always help him. So besides getting information from the government, he would get information
from the business people.
From the business people.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
In Malindi, he used to have friends with the local people there. That is how he used to connect with the people. Now, people used to blame him. But why is he taking all of the men to Europe whenever he used to travel? Because most of the time when we traveled, we take a few old men. Kimolo Motisia, Karioki Chotara, Nanga Kehonge from Naivasha, Elisha Chieng from South Nyanza, Ezekiel Bangetun. Those old men, even some from Njiru, he won't take them.
Who are not politicians. Some of them were not politicians. Like Bangetuni was not.
He was a politician, but he had no government job. Yeah.
Business person.
Yeah. Well, they were politicians at the local level, as well as they were opinion shapers.
Yeah.
Now people used to grumble that this is waste of public funds.
Yeah.
So one day we were in London, in Hilton, London. Then Mois called me to his suite. He told me, "You, Lee, somebody like Kalonzo,
who was a young
Kalonzo Musyoka is a young man, who was born 1952. That is the age of my firstborn. He's my foreign minister.
Yeah.
Katan Angala is also a young man. It's like my son. You have come here to do government work. Now, in the evening, you go into the streets of London at the night to go and play mischief there. There's all the men you are saying they have no role to play. I go down memory lane with these people. We can talk about 1940. Yeah. We can discuss the Second World War.
The state of emergency.
The state of emergency. What we went through, the transformation of Kenya. Because history is not optical. Yeah. You cannot stand on Mount Kenya and look at 1940 if you were born in 1970.
History is not optical.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, you must live through it to appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know? So these old men, we discuss the issues. And based on those historical perspectives, then we can map for the future. We can map the future. Yeah. And then when I'm angry, they calm me down.
They can calm me down. They are intimates.
Yes. They even tell me
the truth
that however tough a tiger is, however angry it becomes, however ferocious, it does not eat its children.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And then they can, these allegories. Yes.
They know
and
how
give me these traditional illustrations of how to live.
Wow.
Yes.
That is interesting because I don't think, and I will still blame Kibaki because I don't think Kibaki used to, number one, have such means of connection. Two, I don't think he had, he were able to connect to the ground to that particular extent. He was rare. I don't know whether he used to spend much of his time outside the State House. Someone said Moi never slept in State House.
Well,
Nairobi State House.
No. But at Nakuru.
And the same with Kenyatta.
And Kenyatta, but they slept in other state houses.
In other state houses, but
yes,
not in Nairobi.
Yes. Kenyatta only in Nairobi. He slept in the others. Moi did not sleep in two. Nairobi and Nakuru. Why? Because he had a home. A personal home in Nairobi and a personal home in Nakuru. Yeah. Which is only 25 kilometers. In Nakuru, his home in Kabarak is 25 kilometers. Yeah. So that's a short distance.
So,
and in Nairobi, he had a home in Kibera.
But Kibaki was also, Kibaki's Muthaiga. Is it Muthaiga home?
Yes.
The State House.
Yes.
But he used to prefer sleeping in the State House.
Yes, he had his own reasons, which we don't.
And analysis shows that it's only Kibaki and Ruto who are sleeping in Nairobi State House.
Yes.
Other presidents, including Uhuru Kenyatta, never spent.
No. But Uhuru and the house just adjacent.
Next.
Yeah.
He could walk.
Yeah, of course, he used to walk.
Okay.
Yes. If it is not raining.
Okay, I think that should be subjected to some other interpretation. I don't know. Because someone who was saying those are the only people we can say they are not born or they never found themselves while they are in the State House. The two presidents. But now, moving forward, because we want now to explore something else, lessons for the future leaders. We are seeing some leaders in this particular dispensation, leaders who look like they have no mentors. People say, for example, Kalonzo Musyoka was mentored by Mulu Mutisya. I don't know whether that is true. People say Moi mentored specific politicians who took after him and they learned discipline from him, especially political discipline. Currently, we are just having leaders who are coming into leadership and they look like they have no mentor. They have no one to hold them accountable. What can you make of that?
During Moi time, it was a one-party state.
Mm-hmm. That was KANU.
Mm-hmm. And Moi was a strong leader. Mm. And KANU had its own structures, which were very clear. And there was a disciplinary committee.
Within the party.
But now, most of the political parties, they have those rules, but they are not followed. They are not followed. They are not implemented. Because it is different when you have rules which are implemented when the need arises. Yeah. And the rules which are not implemented. Because even rules now, they are very obscure. They are not even understood. And then there's favoritism. That don't touch that one. This one is mine. This one is not mine. That one you can deal with. People should ask themselves, why do people want power? Is it to serve the people or is it for self-glorification and self-enrichment? That is the question. And if it is for self-glorification, for self-enrichment, and to feel big for the sake of it, and to intimidate people, where are the balances and the checks? Now, that is the role of the government institutions.
Okay.
But those government institutions, I do not want to say whether they are efficient or not. That is for the people of Kenya, the electorate, to monitor and make decisions. Because people deserve the leadership they get. Because our leaders, they do not fall from the sky.
They are human beings.
and they are elected by the people. And as I always say, is that if people make themselves horses, they might as well be ridden. That is what I have to say. Because the leaders who are there, we are watching them. The population of Kenya is watching them.
Yeah.
It is for the population to make a decision. Because I do not want to appear as if I'm blaming anybody.
Yeah, sure.
Or as if I'm insulting anybody. I say whatever is happening within the leadership of this country, it is as a result of the decision of the electorate. So it is upon them
to decide
what to do.
What to do with them.
Because they have got a recourse.
Yeah. After every 5 years.
After every 5 years.
Yes. Okay.
And fortunately, information is there. And the remedy is not secret.
It's not secret.
It is there.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree. And I think that means Kenyans are responsible for their leaders. A different and interesting perspective. I know you mentioned about the issue of the difference, especially in the media. The media is unpredictable.
But it is not controlled. Everybody is a journalist these days. Everybody is a political commentator. So everybody's job is nobody's job.
That's a good one. So thank you very much. This is the Political Oracle, and we are going to broadcast this right from the Talk Chat podcast. Thank you very much for being with us, and we want to appreciate you. We wish you well.
Thank you very much.
And we hope that you live long, actually, to continue telling us these stories. Because every time I listen to you, I hear something new.
Asante.
Every interview I hear you give any other person, I hear something new. You have so much information that I think this generation requires. So thank you very much, and God bless you.
Asante sana.